Hi, I'm Peter Hawley, President and CEO of Fabled Copper Corp. And today I would like to tell you about the surface sampling on the Bronson property, Book 6 Copper Occurrence, where we channel sampled up to 7.37% copper. The project is comprised of the Neil property, the Toro property, and the Bronson property located in northern British Columbia. To date, we have reported on 14 copper occurrences, related drone UAV missions, and ground geophysics on the Neil property, which completed the 2021 work on the Neil. And now we report on the 2021 work on the Bronson property to the south of the Neil. The Bronson property comprises 4 mineral tenors, covering approximately 2,524 hectares. The purpose of the 2021 exploration program was to carry out a field campaign consisting of reconnaissance prospecting across the Bronson claims, complete a focused program at the Book 6 vein consisting of detailed sampling, very low frequency electromagnetics and ground magnetometer geophysical surveys, and a UAV photogrammetry survey. And thirdly, conduct alteration mineral mapping and targeting using visible near-infrared, short-wave infrared, and thermal infrared advanced spaceborne thermal emissions and reflection radiometer, which is called ASTER, multispectral satellite data. A total of 56 person days were spent on the property, with 199 rock samples taken on 7 areas prospected, which are the Book 6, the Book 9, Book 10, 428 Central, 428 South, PJ 105, and PJ 100. Now, we previously reported on the Book 6 property, where an unmanned aerial vehicle, a UAV, photogrammetry survey was conducted over the Book 6 vein target, resulting in 1. It generated high-resolution photogrammetry datasets for the vein target to better understand bedrock controls of the copper mineralization. Number 2, it generated high-resolution digital terrain models, or DTMs, to assist with 3D modeling of the targets. And number 3, generate baseline imagery to record current states of surface disturbance at sites that will be actively explored in the coming years. The data generated was used for in-field targeting of visual copper occurrences on the color orthophoto, and due to the 3 centimeter resolution, yes, 3 centimeters, which led to field examinations of the mineralization and the sampling of the Book 6 vein, where we collected a total of 113 samples as a first pass evaluation. Now, as you can see from the photo I took from the helicopter, the Book 6 vein is exposed, striking southward along a relatively flat-lying valley at elevations of between 1,988 to 1,912. A total of 113 rock samples, which consisted of 11 grab samples, 7 float samples, and 95 chip samples, were collected along the exposed veining in the surrounding areas. 2 veins labeled the Main and the West were systematically chip sampled at various locations south along the veining. Each section was chained or measured southward from sample D-723035 at the north end of the mineralized main vein. The section assays and averages are included in the orthophoto sample locations. The main vein was channel sampled along 68 meters at widths of 0.5 meter to 1.6 meters, or along sections 0 to 68 meters south. The main vein strikes 177 to 181 degrees through sheared sediments and deeply to the west. As you can see at its south end, where it's intruded by a northwest trending dike, the vein slightly bends to the east-southeast. Chalcopyrite concentrations of up to 10% were observed in the samples, but generally the chalcopyrite content is around 1%. 12 sections were chip sampled across 68 meters. 9 of the 12 sections average 0.13 to 0.47% copper across widths of 0.65 to 1.4 meters. 3 sections averaged 2.1 to 6.4% copper, and section 31 South averaged 2.83% copper across 0.7 meters. Another example, line 55 south, 2.1% copper across 1 meter. Section 68 south, 6.3% copper across 1.6 meters. Now, 4 individual chip samples contain a copper content of over 1%, and 2 samples along section 31 south assayed 1.57% and 3.77% copper across 0.3 and 0.4 meters respectively. A sample across 0.6 meters on section 55 south assayed 3.44% copper, and a sample collected across 1.1 meters on section 68 south contained 7.73% copper. As you can see, the mineralized west vein is exposed at numerous locations along a length of approximately 400 meters. This vein strikes 175 to 183 degrees and dips 85 degrees to the west, and is 0.2 to 3.6 meters wide and contains up to 75% massive chalcopyrite, that's right, 75%, and 2% bornite. Galena concentrations of greater than 1% to 20% were observed in 3 samples. And in the north, the west vein lies 2 to 10 meters west of the main vein, hence the name west vein, and where the main vein appears to be cut off by a northwesting trending dike. The west vein continues southward and is offset to the west at various locations where the dikes are exposed. A total of 56 channel samples were collected across 34 sections from 31 south to 411 south at elevations of 1,912 to 1,962 meters. Of the 34 sections sampled, 13 sections collected across widths of 0.2 to 4.7 meters contain greater than 1% copper. Sections of interest over a span of 298 meters are sections 113 south, which reported 2.31% copper across 1 meter, section 178 south, which reported 1.03% copper across 1.3 meters, section 189 south, which reported 1.25% copper across 1 meter, sections 195 south, which reported 1.03% copper across 1.2 meters, and continuing onwards southwards. And finally, at the latter part of the veining, section 411 south, which reported 2.38% copper across 2.3 meters. 18 individual chip samples assayed higher than 1% copper. And of the 56 chip samples taken, they were collected from sheared sediments surrounding the veins. Samples of sheared sediments on section 407 south and 409 south contained 0.43% copper across 1.1 meters and 0.88% copper across a half a meter, respectively. Note the metal tag sample location left in place for future reference if required. Lead and zinc amounts of over 1% and silver amounts over 10 ppm, or grams per ton, were observed in various samples, such as 1.2% lead across 1 meter, 12.90 grams per ton silver across 0.5 meters, 7.33% lead and 55.9 grams per ton silver across a half a meter, 14 grams per ton silver across a half a meter, and 1.46% zinc across 0.30 meters. These different elements continue to be anomalous and not understood at this time. Along strike 30 to 90 meters north of the main vein and 30 to 150 meters south of the west vein, non-mineralized exposures of quartz carbonate veining were prospected. And in the north, 5 samples were collected, and to the south, 4 samples were taken. All these samples assayed less than 0.02% copper. An exposure of irregularly shaped mineralization, up to 10% chalcopyrite, quartz carbonate veining, was discovered at elevations of 1,871 to 1,873 meters. And this was 270 meters southwest of the south end of the west vein. The veining appears to be up to 3.6 meters in width. 9 chip samples were collected at various orientations across 3 sections of veining and sediments. A sample of vein across 0.8 meters contained the highest copper content of 5.42%. The remaining samples assayed less than 0.036% copper. A grab sample of veining was collected 30 meters to the north at an elevation of 1,874 meters. This sample, with 3% sulfides, had a copper assay result of 0.65% copper. North and northeast of the main vein, numerous, mainly northwest striking tension veins were sampled. The veins are not mineralized, and the 8 samples collected assayed low in copper, and that means less than 0.03% copper. A south training quartz vein, 350 meters northeast of the main vein, was grab sample and contained a low copper assay of barely trace. A mineralized 1% chalcopyrite float sample collected at the creek at the south end of the main vein assayed 2.45% copper. All samples taken were photographed and GPS locations taken, plus a metal sample tag left in the place for future reference if required. All this data, plus the assay results, were geotagged and placed in a .kml, .kmz file for use such as Google Earth for easy references. Going forwards, additional releases on the geophysics and structural interpretation results of the Bronson Property Book 6 Copper Occurrence will be forthcoming in the following weeks. Follow us as we explore for fabled green copper in northern British Columbia.